looking straight ahead, and the chin is parallel to the floor. So you're going to breathe in, arms coming up, looking up to the sky. You're going to exhale, hands down, head down. Inhale, look up. And a step back with the right leg. That's it. Now make sure that right knee is as far behind that right hip as it can be. Lifting that right arm up in the air. Side bending to the left. Just take a few breaths into that right rib. Shoulder away from the ear. It's almost like you're looking under that right armpit towards the ceiling. Two more breaths. And then gently release. Stepping back with that left knee. Sticking the tailbone out, nice easy chaturanga. Bending the elbows, getting the chest in between the two thumbs. Then sliding your chin down, dropping the belly. Just come to cobra. So keeping those thighs on the floor here. If it feels a little uncomfortable on your back, just come to half cobra or wherever you can manage. Roll the shoulders back, lift the breastbone and pull the belly in. If you're able to lift the chin a little, lift the chin, engage those glutes, pull in the core to take the pressure off that lower back. Take a few breaths. And then just stick your bottom out. Tuck your toes under, coming into down dog. Shoulders away from the ears. Just gently loosening off those calf muscles. Exhaling as you push alternate heels down towards the mat. And then inhale, look up. Step forwards, right leg. Coming into runner's lunge, easier if you put that back knee down. Either hands just resting on the thigh, or if you're able to, bringing them up in the air. Shoulder width apart. Option to lift the back knee, or keep it down to make it easier. Slide the shoulders down, elbows are straight. Take a few breaths in this position. Inhaling for 3. And exhaling for a count of 3 through the nostrils. Fingers long, elbows straight, chin parallel to the floor. And then gently place the hands down either side of the front foot. Back foot steps forward into Padangustasana. So 2 forefingers and the thumb come around the big toe. Inhale, straighten the arms and look up. Exhale, bend the elbows and push the crown of the head down towards the mat. Roll your shoulders back and away from the ears. And I want you to breathe here. In for 3 through the nostrils, out for 3 through the nostrils. And just remind yourself, the stretch that you feel in the back of the legs right now should be no more than a 7 out of 10. 1 being easy, 5 being average, 10 being painful. 7 is challenging, it's mildly uncomfortable, but it's not painful. If it's more than a 7, bend the knees. Then inhale. Straighten the arms and look up. Place the hands on the hips and slowly come up to standing. On the other side, inhale, arms up. Hips forward, exhale, hands down, head down. Inhale, look up and step back, left leg. Getting that right knee directly above that right ankle, left knee as far back as you can get. Now
Now, taking that left arm up in the air, side bending to the right. Stretching from that left armpit all the way down to that left hip. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. It's almost like you're looking under that left armpit. Breathing into that top rib. Noticing if one side feels a little bit more flexible than the other. And then gently release. Stepping back, right leg. Then to all fours. Nice, easy, chaturanga. Bending the elbows, getting the nipple line in between the 2 thumbs with the elbows off the floor. Push the chin along the floor without moving the knees back until your belly is flat. And just come up to either half cobra, sphinx, or full cobra. Roll the shoulders back and down. Pull the belly in. Draw the ribs in. Keep the glutes engaged. Keep the pelvic floor engaged. And really lift the spine up. So you're not compressing too much in that lower back by lengthening and lifting the spine and pulling in that core. Take a few breaths. If you're able to look up, do, but make sure you don't collapse in those shoulders. Reaching the breastbone up to the ceiling, and then stick the bottom out. Tuck the toes under, and then come into down dog. Spread the fingers wide. Breathing into the sides and into the back of your ribs, trying to push the heels towards the mat. Pulling up those kneecaps. Drawing those ribs in so they're not flaring, and the ears in between both arms. Focus on the counting of the breath, inhaling for 3, and exhaling for 3. Inhaling for 3, and exhaling for 3. On the next breath, look up and step forward with that left foot. Either drop the right knee to the floor and place the hands on that left thigh, or you can take that right knee off and lift the arms up into runner's lunge. Shoulders down, away from the ears. Elbows straight, fingers long. Chin parallel to the floor. If that back knee is off, push that back heel towards the floor, pulling up that back kneecap. Again, focus your mind on the counting of the breath. Inhaling for 3, and exhaling for 3. One more breath. And place the hands down. Step that back leg forward into Palahastasana, palms underneath the soles of the feet. Trying to get the big toe right up at the wrist joint. Inhale, straighten the arms, look up. Exhale, bend the elbows and push the crown of the head down towards the mat. Pull those shoulders back and away from the ears. Pushing the crown of the head towards the floor. Nothing more than a 7 out of 10 mild discomfort. If it feels too much, bend the knees. And feel that breath go into the sides and into the back of your ribs. And then gently release the hands, place them onto the hips, and slowly coming back up. Arms back down. Inhale, lift the arms up, push the hips forwards. As you exhale, bring the hands into prayer pose, Anjali Mudra, and then bend the knees. Sitting back on that imaginary chair behind you. Parivrita Utkatasana. Twist to your right. Looking over your right shoulder. Now just make sure that your left knee hasn't shot in front of your right knee. So keep the knees flush so that the pelvis is level. Make sure that your spine isn't hunched, you're not doing some kind of cat stretch. So release the tailbone and lift the breastbone up because your head should be higher than your butt. Press this top arm down into the bottom arm to help lift your torso away from your thighs so it's not just resting on the thighs. And then look behind you, neutral pelvis, shoulders down. Breathing in for 3 and out for 3. Maintaining this stance, the only thing that's going to move is your left leg, sliding it back. Sliding that left leg back behind you, and if you can, one arm up to the ceiling and one arm down to the floor. Looking up towards the ceiling, inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. Parivrita Padangustasana. If it feels easier, you can drop that back knee down onto the mat. Whatever works for you. Take a few more breaths here. We've got 2 more revolved positions. So gently straighten that front leg and just hop that back knee in a little. Coming into Parivrita Trigonosa, revolved triangle. Now just take this top arm and put your hand into the crease of that hip just to make sure you're not hip hitching. So gently draw that hip back so you've got a nice long waist on both sides. Then you can put your hands on your tummy, kind of turn it round from the floor. Hand on the rib, turn it round so you're getting more rotation. And then this arm up. Careful it doesn't go back behind you. It's pointing directly up to the ceiling. And as you push this right hip back, make sure you don't roll onto the side of the foot. Press that right big toe down at the same time. If it's uncomfortable to look to the ceiling, just look down towards the floor, towards your big toe, if that feels better. And of course, remember, you can have your hand on the shin, or a block, or wherever feels right for you. One more breath. And then you're going to bring that hand in front. You're going to raise that back heel. And then you're going to bring that hand in front a little bit more. For Parivrita Ardha revolved half moon. Taking the weight off the back leg. And when you've got the weight off the back leg, lifting it up. Again, you can put this left hand on the floor, or your shin, or onto a block, or a piece of furniture. Whatever works for you. And then try to bend that back knee and see if you can grab hold of the foot. If not, don't worry. And lift that knee up. It's a challenging one. Gently release, placing the foot down. Interlace the hands behind the back. Clasp the fingers together and lift the arms up and over, opening out the chest and shoulders. If that feels a bit awkward on your arms, just place the hands on the back of your hips and roll the shoulders back and point the elbows up to the ceiling instead. And opening out the backs of the legs. Breathing into the sides and into the back of your ribs. Notice if the back of one leg feels a little tighter than the other now that you've loosened one side off more than the other. And then release the hands onto the hips, slowly coming up. Now doing that to the opposite side, arms down. Inhale, look up. Exhale, bring the hands into prayer pose, Anjali Mudra, and sit back on your imaginary chair. Now as you twist to the left, bring your right elbow, make sure that right knee doesn't shoot forwards. So keep those knees level, keep the pelvis in neutral, and look behind you. Again, making sure that you're not collapsing on your torso onto the thigh, so push the top arm down and lift your torso away from the thighs, and your head should be higher than the butt, rather than the butt higher than the head. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, neutral pelvis. Keep pushing that right knee and right hip back. Seeing if you can twist that a little bit more each time. And then keeping this position, just slide that right leg back. Option to drop that right knee onto the floor if you wish. And if you can, one arm down onto the floor, one arm up to the ceiling. Otherwise, if you can lift that back knee, then try to do so. Parivrita Padangustasana. If your back knee is off, try to straighten it as much as you can. And get as much spinal twist as you're able to. Focus on the breath. In for 3 slowly, and out for 3 slowly. One last breath, and we're going to straighten that front knee, and just hop that back leg in. So the back foot is just slightly turned out, and that right arm, the front arm, can either be on the shin, on the inside of the big toe, or on the outside of the little toe. With that left hand, just push the thumb into the crease of the hip and pull that left hip back, and at the same time pull that right hip forward. Now notice as you pull that left hip back that you don't roll onto the little toe side, so press that left big toe down. Then place your hand on your belly and kind of twist it to the left. Then place the hand on the rib and twist a little further. And then look towards the ceiling, that top thumb. Otherwise, look down towards that left big toe, if that feels better for you. And as you press that left big toe down, and pushing that left hip back, just imagine an imaginary line between that left big toe and that left hip. Feeling the connection between that left big toe and the left hip. It's almost like a nerve stretch going down that leg. And then, just bringing that left hand in front, just raise the back heel, that right heel. Bring that hand a little further forwards. And when you feel ready, you can take that back foot off the floor, coming into Parivrita Chandrasana, Revolved Half Moon. Otherwise, your hand can go on your shin, on a block, or a piece of furniture to help steady you.
Twisting your body away from the floor without dropping that back leg. So it's challenging to balance, and you'll feel the stretch of that hamstring at the back of that front leg. If you can, bend that back knee and reach for the foot if you're able to. If not, just stay where you were. Holding that balance as best you can. Gently release. Clasping the hands, if you can, the folded arms behind those knees, pushing the crown of the head to the floor. If not, just place your palms onto the back of the calf muscles. Roll the shoulders and elbows back, if that feels a little easier. Pushing the crown of the head down towards the mat. Breathing into the side and into the back of your ribs. Then release the hands, place them onto the hips, and slowly coming back up. Inhaling, lifting those arms up. Exhaling, hands down, head down. Inhaling, bend the knees and look up. As you exhale, right leg stepping back. Right leg steps back. And then just turn the back foot sideways. Now you can either have this left hand on the outside of that little toe, or you can bring it to the inside of the big toe. And then lifting that arm up. So you want a diagonal straight line, ankle, knee, hip, shoulder through to the ear, but also with this arm, kind of following the line of the leg. Tempting to stick your butt out and lean forward, but you want the opposite. Push the hips forward, lean your torso back. And if you feel you can't, then a better alignment would be your elbow on the thigh instead. And you can maneuver this thigh by pushing your elbow so that your knee goes over the little toe side instead of rolling in over that big toe. Padangustasana. Shoulder down away from the ear. Take this arm behind the back. If you're able to, the fingertips, just grab the crease of that hip and then you change on. Another variation. Again, the arm follows the alignment of the leg. Breathing in for a count of 3 and out for a count of 3. And then gently release. Hands either side of the front foot, turn the back foot in. Step back into plank. Hold the plank. Drop down into up dog, stay on the balls of your feet without collapsing in the shoulders, pull the shoulders up. And exhale, coming to plank. Inhale, drop the hips down, lift the head up. Up dog, and exhale, back to plank. Inhale, up dog, and exhale, back to plank. Inhale, and exhale. Chaturanga, you can either drop the knees and come to chaturanga from here, or you can come to chaturanga from plank. Inhale, up dog, exhale,
over the toes, into down dog. Just shake out the neck. Loosen any tension. And looking up. Lift that right leg up. Stretch it up in the air. Bend that knee. Bring it to the outside of your right elbow so it doesn't touch the floor. Take a few breaths. Stretch it back up. Inhale. Exhale, bend the knee. This time, bring it to the inside of that left elbow. Take a few breaths. Inhale, coming up. Stretch. Bend the knee and step that foot, right foot on the outside of that right hand. And just let the knee flop out to the right. So you're actually on the side of the foot, your big toe has come off the floor. And then look straight ahead. Draw your shoulders down, lift the breastbone up, lift the chin up, eyes almost in the back of your skull. Stick out your tongue, stretch your facial muscles, go into that lion phase. Breathe. Place the foot down flat, hand either side. Lift that back leg up in the air, bring the head down. Shoulders away from the ears. Lifting that back leg as high as you can. And then gently place the foot down. Looking up with your right hand, 2 forefingers and the thumb around that right big toe. Left hand on the hip. Look up, soften that left knee a little and see if you can lift the leg up from the floor. If not, then come up to standing first. And if you're doing this from standing position, starting here, bend the knee, take hold of the foot or the big toe. Don't worry about your leg being straight, the fact is you're balancing, even if it's to here. Of course you can use a yoga strap, stretching out that leg. Try not to hip hitch, so pushing that right hip down so the waist is long. And try not to let that arm being pulled forward. Draw that shoulder back and down. Staying tall, pushing the crown of the head up to the ceiling. There's a softness in the left knee, but it's not really bent. It's not locked either. It's straight, but it's not locked. If you're able to, take the leg out to the side. Again, it can be bent. It doesn't have to be straight. Or if it feels more comfortable to have the leg in front, then keep it in front. Breathing in for 3. And out for 3. Bringing that leg back into the midline. Keep it up in the air, but let go. hands on hips. In for 3. Out for 3. One more breath. And gently release. Arms down. Breathing in. Looking up. Exhale. Hands down. Head down. Inhale, look up. Step back. Left leg. Now, with your right hand, you can either keep it on the outside of the little toe, or you can bring it to the inside of the big toe. Ready for Padangustasana? Turn that back foot out to the side. And then turn your ribs away from the floor. Reach this arm down, forward and through. So it follows the alignment of that leg. Ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, ear. Remember, you have the option just to rest that elbow on the thigh. This knee should be directly over the ankle, not shooting in front of it. So here, and remind yourself that the common mistake is to stick the butt out and lean forward. This is why it's sometimes better to have your alignment with this elbow or here, because the lower the arm goes, the more the butt wants to stick out. Breathing into this top rib, opening out those hips and groins, keeping that back heel on the floor, and also the side of the foot, so the back foot isn't kind of rolling in. Take this top arm, take it behind the back. See if you can get it into the crease of that hip. And then the underneath arm now comes up, so still in the same position, just changing arms. Inhaling for 3. Exhaling for 3. One more breath. And then gently place the hand on the floor. Turn the back foot in. Step back into plank. Inhale as you rock forward, shoulders just slightly in front of the hands, and exhale as you push those heels back. Inhale, rocking forward without sagging, without sticking the butt out, and exhale, push back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, push back. 2 more. Into Chaturanga, either putting the knees down and bending, or you can come into Chaturanga from plank. Inhale, forward. And then tuck the toes under, lift the knees. Looking up. And swing into down dog. Try to come a little deeper into down dog than you did the time before. Heels a little closer to the mat, knees a little straighter, back a little flatter, ribs pulling in. Again, feeling the breath into the sides and into the back of your ribs. Inhale, lift that left arm, that left leg up in the air. Pushing that right heel down towards the mat. And then exhale, look up, bend that knee and bring the left knee on the outside of that left elbow. Try and hold the foot off the floor, if you can, for a couple of breaths. Inhale, take it back up. Exhale, bend that knee, bring that left knee to the inside of that right elbow. Keeping that foot off the floor.
Take it back up. Inhale.
Exhale, bend that knee and bring that left foot on the outside of that left hand. And then just let that knee drop out to the left, so you're kind of coming on the side of the foot. So the big toe is off. And so you're really opening down into that hip socket. Look up. Draw your shoulders back with the breast going up. Lift your chin up, stretching the front of the neck. Eyes almost in the back of your skull. And stick your tongue out, really stretch your facial muscles, coming into that lion pose. And then release. Place the foot back down, hand on the outside of the foot, and step forward. And then, this time, bringing the right hand to the right hip. 2 forefingers and the thumb around that left big toe. Look up, soften that right knee. And if you can, from this position, lift that foot up. Remember, if that's not possible, then just stand here, bend the knee or put a yoga strap behind the ball of the foot, or just stretch the leg as far as you can. It doesn't have to fully straighten. But make sure you're not hip hitching, so push that hip down, pull the shoulder back and lengthen up tall. Remember, any balance pose, you need a drishti, a focal point. Steady gaze. Something that you're not really focusing on, you're kind of looking through it like you're in a trance. And then take that leg out to the side if you can, or if not, just keep it straight ahead if that feels better. Focus on the breath and the drishti. Bring that leg back into the midline. Release the hand onto the hip, hold it outstretched. Toes up to the ceiling, knees straight. In for 3. Out for 3. Gently lower that leg back down. Breathing in. Exhale, hands down, head down. Inhale, bend the knees, look up. Exhale, step or jump. Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale over the toes. Into down dog. Now, you can either bend the knees and come to sitting, or you can rise up onto the tiptoes, bend the knees, and you can just crisscross the legs, and then come to sitting in this way. Bending that left knee out to the side, and flexing that right foot. Parivrita Janusasana. So you're going to reach that right hand towards the toes of that right foot, 2 forefingers and the thumb around that big toe. Otherwise you can have a yoga strap or just grab onto your shin. Now, Turn your belly away to the left. Turn your ribs away. Turn your head to the left. Left arm up in the air. Side bend. Now if you can bend this right elbow, so if you're able to get that right elbow in front of your knee, then you can use that elbow to push against the knee to help you rotate the ribs away from the floor if you can. Only join that top hand onto the bottom hand if you don't twist towards the floor, because you want the opposite. Turning away, we're stretching all the way from the armpit down to your waist. And you're breathing into that top rib, nice and deep. Looking under the armpit. Now remember, when you are in a pose, you're not just holding it, you're refining it. And you're also saying, if you can go any deeper, can I twist any more? Can I bend a little further? Just asking those questions. The answer might be no, that's fine, but ask them anyway. 2 more breaths. And then release, letting that arm go. Stretch that leg out. Stretching into those inner thighs, you might want to sit on a yoga block or a cushion to help keep your spine as straight as you can, but don't let the legs roll in or out. Push out through those heels, pull up those kneecaps. Hands on the floor. Padangustasana. So you're stretching those inner groins. See if you can place the hands on the floor. If you're able to, place the elbows on the floor. If you're able to, place your forehead on the floor. Wherever you can get to without forcing. Breathing into the sides and into the back of your ribs. Nice and slowly, in for 3, minimum, through the nostrils, out for 3, minimum, through the nostrils. 2 more breaths. Slowly coming up. And now, bending that right knee. Keep that left leg straight. Side bend, reaching towards the left foot or the shin or wherever you can get to. And then bending that elbow without turning the body towards the floor. Pull the belly away, pull the ribs away, turn the head, lift the arm. And then just go as far as you're able to, using that elbow to push against the knee if you're able to, and turn your ribs away from the floor. So you get more stretch down the waist that way, down those lateral flexors of the spine. Looking under that armpit, breathing into that top rib. Noticing if one side feels different, does it feel easier? Or does it feel tighter? Just observing your own body without any judgment, just noticing passively any differences between right and left. Take a few more breaths. And then gently coming up. Now you can keep this front knee bent. Just turn the back leg in, coming into your pigeon only knee is used, you're looking at two 90-degree angles here, and then you're just kind of leaning forward over that front shin. Otherwise, you want this back leg straight, and then you want the knee turned in so that you're not rolling onto the side of the hip. The headlamps on both hip bones are shining forward. So your knee's pointing to the floor and your foot's pointing to the floor. And this front knee kind of points out kind of on the diagonal towards the side. And either resting your forehead on your two hands, or you can sit up. If you want to add in a spinal twist, it's opposite elbow to knee. And you're looking behind you. Otherwise, you can just stay resting in this position. Feeling that stretch on that front glute, the round about the butt cheek, maybe underneath the top of the hamstring, maybe in the inner groin, all on that front leg. Take a couple more breaths, try to ease and relax into the stretch. And really notice whereabouts you feel it, so you can compare it with the other side when we do begin to change. And just how intense is that stretch for you? How deep are you going into that pose? Getting to know your body. And then slowly looking up, pushing up. Taking your hands, lifting your hips and straightening the front leg into Ardha Hanamasana, half splits, essentially a hamstring stretch without doing a cat stretch. So try to flatten your back as much as you can. And then, for those of you that wish to go a little further, you can work towards full splits, full Hanamasana, just by moving that front leg or stretching the back leg backwards, whatever feels right for you. But you mustn't force it, otherwise you can put your hands on some blocks or and kind of push yourself up. But you shouldn't feel any pain, mild discomfort. You know it's working for you if you could stay here for a couple of minutes, at least. If you feel you're shaking or you're sweating or your breathing is quickening, you're probably a little bit too far. You need to come out of it maybe a little bit more. For anybody that can go into full splits, the head can be down like this. Or hands in prayer. Or you can add in that spinal twist. So opposite arm to leg, looking over the shoulder. And then gently release, bringing that leg back. And changing sides. Opposite leg forwards, trying not to hunch. And again, try not to hip hitch. So pushing that hip down without rolling onto the side of the foot. Pressing that big toe down, flattening the spine. As long as you feel a stretch in the back of the leg, you might need to bend the knee a little. That's fine, as long as you feel a stretch and that stretch is no more than a 7 out of 10. If you wish to take it a little further, then you can stretch the front leg forward or the back leg back into full Hanamasana, full splits. Placing your hands, or 3/4, wherever you can manage. Whichever position feels right for you, as long as you're not forcing it. really just focusing on the breath. Remember, you shouldn't be struggling in this position. If you notice your breath is starting to speed up or get quicker, it's often a sign that you are struggling, that maybe you've gone a little too far. Allow your body to ease into the posture and don't fight or resist your own body. And just coming into Pigeon Pose, bending that firmly, either making both legs bent at 90 degrees, better for knee issues, or straightening the back leg with the knee and foot pointing downwards. Either forehead on the two hands, or opposite elbow to knee. Whatever feels best for you. Feeling that stretch underneath that right glute, top of the hamstring, maybe the inner groin on the right. And then gently release. Just lying down on your back. Coming into Ardha Ananda Palahastasana, half happy baby, lifting that foot up. Either holding onto the outside of the leg. I prefer holding on to the inside, whatever's right for you. And then just gently encouraging that knee to come down towards the floor. So the kind of hand on the sole of the foot, gently encouraging without forcing that knee towards the mat. Again, opening out the back of the leg, the glute, the hamstring, the inner groin on the right. You might feel a little stretch in that hip flexor at the top of that left thigh. And then, if you're able to, just holding on to the big toe, 2 forefingers and the thumb, and stretching that leg up towards the ceiling. Supta Padangustasana. You can use a yoga strap. If you can't reach your big toe, holding behind the calf or behind the knee, drawing that leg in towards your chest. Stretching out that hamstring. Other arm slightly out to the side. Again, nothing more than mild discomfort at the back of that right leg. Variation B, we take the leg out to the side, you can hold on to the big toe, or the heel, or the calf, or anywhere along the thigh, wherever feels right for you. Now we've got to stretch in the inner groin as well as the hamstring. Got to make sure that opposite hip doesn't roll, so keep it pressed down towards the mat, so the pelvis doesn't rock to one side. Bring that back leg back into the midline and do variation C. And we take it across the midline towards the opposite hand. And we turn our head away. into the midline, bend the knee. Let's now take that knee across without this opposite shoulder coming off the floor. So keep that shoulder down, keep turning the head, trying to get that knee to touch the floor or as close to the floor as you can. As you open out that lower back, and then really stretching that leg. Opposite leg, bringing that left foot in, hand on the sole of that foot, gently encouraging that left knee down towards the mat. Shoulder away from the ear. Inhaling for a count of 3. And exhaling for a count of 3. Again, noticing any differences between right and left sides of the body. And then take hold of the big toe, or the ankle, or the calf, and stretching that left leg up towards the ceiling, Supta Padangustasana. And bring that leg towards you. So you'll notice we did this Padangustasana pose in 2 different ways previously to this. Pada means foot, hasta means hand, and gusta means big toe. So it's hand to big toe pose. Supta, which is what we're doing now, just means reclining, usually lying on your back. But we also did it standing, one leg balance. And we also did it in a forward bend position from standing. And then take that variation out to the side, either holding on to the big toe, or the ankle, or the calf, or the thigh, wherever feels right for you. Making sure this opposite hip stays pretty much pointing towards the ceiling, that you're not twisting the pelvis over to one side. Feeling that stretch in the groin and the hamstring on this variation. And then bring that leg back into the centre, into the midline, and take it all the way across to the other side. Again, trying to lengthen the waist on this top side so that you're not hip hitching. And then turning your head away from that straight leg. Gently release, stretching that leg. And bend it in towards the chest. Knee bend this time. Take it across the midline of the body. With that right hand, gently encourage that knee down towards the floor. Keeping that opposite shoulder down, turning the head away from the knee. Opening out the back and the spine.
Touch the leg, bend the knees. Coming into full happy baby. Ananda. Both knees now bent. Take the hands on the inside, or of course you can take them on the outside, whatever works for you. Palms facing down, pushing both knees down towards the floor. Heels pretty much above the knees, trying to get those knees as close as you can. Again, without forcing anything. And then so you can grab the big toes, stretch out the legs. And if you can, kind of rocking all the way up to sitting. You can balance on those sit bones. Take some breaths. Bring the legs together. Pull them towards you. Bend the knees. Slide your feet along the floor. Coming into Padangustasana as the final pose. Head down. Placing my hands either on the shins, on the ankles, behind the backs of the feet, or you can grab onto the toes, whatever works for you. Again, breathing into the sides and into the back of the ribs. As you open out the lower back and the backs of the legs. And then gently release, so we're coming up to sitting. Sitting in Tsukasa, easy pose. Gentle mobilization. Some little pelvic circles, just to loosen off that lumbar spine and the hips. Inhale as you circle forward, and exhale as you circle back. And then reverse. Inhale forward, and exhale, circling back. Getting ready to start your day. Inhale, right arm up, and exhale, side bend. Inhale, left arm up, and exhale, side bend. Inhale up, exhale over. Inhale up, exhale over. Right hand on the left knee. Twist. Left arm up. Side bend. And release, changing side. Twist. Opposite arm up. Side bend. Taking a few breaths into that top rib.
Gently release. Chin down to chest. Full circle to your left. And back. Chin to chest. Full circle to the right. And back. Reverse again. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Slowly bringing the head up. Inhale. Shoulder shrug. And reverse. 3 final breaths. One hand on the belly, one hand on the ribs. Shoulders relaxed. Inhale into the belly. Pushing your hands away, pause the breath. And exhale. Inhale again. Pause the breath. And then exhale. One last time, inhale.